All of my white friends seem to be getting Botox, but none of my black friends are. Let's talk about it. By the way, I'm KJ Miller. I am a founder, lecturer, and content creator. I love talking about all things business and pop culture and sometimes beauty. If you like any of that, be sure to subscribe. Now let's get into it. If you've noticed, my background looks a little bit different. I am actually traveling right now. I am in Dallas, and this is my lovely hotel room. Now, what sparked the idea for this video was the fact that I was recently talking to one of my friends who is white, and she revealed to me that she had been getting Botox for the last 3 years, and I had no idea. And sadly, the reason she revealed it is because I had made some comment about how I think people are going to regret all of this Botox and fillers in a few years. And that's when she revealed it to me. So, a little bit of a foot in my mouth moment. However, we're good. We're fine. She was not offended. But she said at that moment, I've actually been getting it for the last 3 years, just really lightly. I only go once a year, and I just kind of get it in these right here. Because I guess when something happens when she maybe smiles or scowls. Anyway, she gets very pronounced lines right there, which I didn't know because I haven't seen them because she's getting the Botox. And it's interesting because what I said to her was, because she asked me if I had ever gotten anything, and I was like, no, I haven't. And it's so interesting because I have found most of my white girlfriends either have gotten Botox or are very seriously considering it. And I mean seriously considering it. Like, they've researched injectors. They know which places in their face they're going to go for first. They've thought about the number of cc's. When I say researching it, I mean genuinely really researching it, where almost none of my black girlfriends have gotten it or even thought about it. It does not come up in conversation ever, but it almost always comes up in conversation eventually when I'm with my white friends. And I just was wondering, is it just me? Is it just like my friends are very stratified this way, or is this true more broadly? And if it is true more broadly, why? And also, what does that mean? What are my takeaways from that? So that's what I'm going to be talking about in this video. At the end of the day, this interests me. I've just become more interested lately in beauty standards, how we live up to those beauty standards, how we defy those beauty standards, and what I want for myself as I think about the beauty landscape, what procedures and trends I am interested in and want to buy into, and which ones I would like to leave at the wayside because they perpetuate certain standards that I'm not comfortable with. So that's what I'm thinking about. And that is what this video is going to be all about. Starting with the question, have I noticed a broader trend, or is this just a trend I'm seeing among my black and white girlfriends? And according to the American Society of Plastic Surgeons, what I'm seeing with my friends is what's happening in the world. So according to their 2020 plastic surgery statistics report, 82% of Botox procedures were performed on Caucasian patients. Now, I do want to note, Botox can be quite expensive, and obviously, from an earnings perspective, white people out-earn black people. So some of this is just going to be guided by financials. If I can't afford to get Botox, I'm not going to get Botox. But I suspect, and I did try to find out, does this hold if you hold socioeconomic factors constant? I wasn't able to really get into any research that broke it down at that level. The American Society of Plastic Surgeons broke it down by race, but not by race when you hold, economic status constant. So I'm sure someone has looked into that. I wasn't able to find that research. My hypothesis is that even if you only look at, call it the top 5% of earners or people who are making over $200,000 a year or whatever it might be, even if you were to only look at people within that group, I suspect you would still see the vast majority of Botox users being white, and black people being very underrepresented within that bracket. Maybe you'd see more use, but I suspect you'd still see large stratification. And so the question is why? And of course, we've all heard the adage, black don't crack. And as often as I have heard that, I did wonder, does that still hold up? It's obviously a thing that we've said, and we know that melanin helps protect us from the sun's UV rays, but it's my understanding that these UV rays are getting stronger, okay? Hotter, harder, stronger, better, faster. So I also wanted to know, Um, does black still not crack? Like, is that really what is driving us from not using Botox nearly as much? So, of course, I wanted to look this up as well. And according to JDD Online, and JDD stands for the Journal of Drugs and Dermatology, according to them, scientific research supports the observation that black don't crack, attributing it primarily to higher melanin levels in darker skin. Melanin provides increased protection against ultraviolet radiation, which is a significant factor in skin aging. This protection results in fewer wrinkles and a delay in the appearance of other aging signs. So, yeah, black don't crack, or rather, it does crack, but later. And so it makes sense why we would be potentially less interested in Botox. Now, I have a hypothesis that the reason we are not getting Botox at the same frequency or rates is not just because black don't crack, but also culturally, it just has not permeated the black community. I actually did an informal poll of some of my homegirls before filming this video. I said, quick informal poll. Have any of you gotten or thought about getting Botox? I find most of my white friends have either gotten it or seriously considered it, but that doesn't seem to be the case for my black friends. Okay, these are some of the responses I got. No, face looks good. It's the least of my worries. Which is so black. I love that. Also, haven't gotten it or thought about it. Not even something that has crossed my mind. And then, nope, I don't know where I would put it. So when I tell you these are not conversations that we are having like at all, these are not conversations that we are having at all, not even in like a far off way, not even in a like, because, you know, my girlfriends and I, I'm 38, we're all around 38. So our 40s are right around the corner. So you would think if this were something somewhat culturally relevant to us, we'd be at the point now where we'd start at least thinking about it and maybe discussing it. And the fact that we aren't also made me think about how I've always found that black women tend to think a bit differently about weight and body size. Like what we consider to be quote unquote overweight is actually quite a few pounds heavier than what I have found my white friends tend to think of as overweight. And I remember having a conversation with one of my good white girlfriends a few years back where we were doing that thing where we were sort of lamenting our weight and like trying to lose weight or whatever diet. By the way, I don't participate in those conversations anymore. I have let go of that. But this was back when I still participated. And I think at the time, most of my adult livelihood, I've been somewhere between a size 10 and a 12. And I think for most of her livelihood, she had been somewhere between more like a 8 and a 10, or maybe even 6 and a 10. I don't know. Okay. I don't know. The point was, I had said to her, I feel like white women feel like they are fat way before black women do. Like, I don't think a black woman starts feeling like she's quote unquote fat or feeling like pressure until she's really like above a 12. And I was like, and I feel like for white women, it starts happening as soon as y'all are above a size 6. And she was like, yeah, that's exactly right. Now, obviously, I cannot speak for all black women and I cannot speak for all white women. Anecdotally, again, this was a conversation we had because this was something that I was noticing among my black friends and my white friends, and something that she had noticed as well. And all of this just has me thinking about beauty standards more broadly and beauty standards among different communities. And bringing it back to the Botox conversation, you know, it's very clear that European standards of beauty, white standards of beauty, are considered the standard of beauty in many ways, particularly in this country. But I do feel very fortunate that on this particular issue, when it comes to anti-aging and Botox use and getting rid of all your wrinkles, this isn't an area where I personally have felt pressure to live up to the European standard of beauty. And yes, part of it is because I don't have a lot of wrinkles. I'm not saying I don't have any, but you know, you can see, let me get close. Okay. Just to be clear, yes, that's part of it. But I also haven't been trained to look for them. I haven't been trained to see them and think this is something I should fix. My culture, my people, this just isn't something that we talk about. I don't look at the wrinkles around my eyes and think I've got to get rid of these immediately. I think, oh, my skin is doing what skin does, folding in the creases. I don't look at these lines on my neck and think, oh, I've got to get rid of these. I think lines on my neck, that feels like a thing that makes sense. You know, it's a frame of mind that I just don't have, and I'm grateful I don't have. And I wonder if there is a way to inject some of that from the Black community into the white community so that some of you can feel a little bit less pressure around it. And I frankly, I don't know how that would work other than conversations like this. Like, I almost wonder if simply knowing that there are whole swaths of people for whom this isn't a mental obsession, this isn't something that is taking up so much space for us, maybe just knowing that can help it take up a little bit less space for you. It's almost like I mentioned, I don't have those weight conversations anymore. About like lamenting, oh, I, wish I weighed less, or I need to be on this diet, or, oh, I just ate this. I don't have those conversations anymore. And part of the reason I don't is because I started listening to a podcast called Maintenance Phase, and that really helped undo a lot of the thoughts that I had been thinking for so many years about weight and about like weight being my problem and a problem of my determination and my self-will and willpower and everything else. It really helped deconstruct a lot of that. And as a result, I stopped putting so much of that pressure on myself, but I needed to hear those conversations in order for that to happen. So a part of me wonders, just by having these conversations, just by making it clear, hey, for whole swaths of us, this is not an issue. This is a non-issue. Does that help make it less of an issue for other people? I'm hopeful that it would. Okay, the air conditioning just kicked on, so now things are going to get a little bit louder. I apologize. I'm hopeful that it would, because ultimately, and I spoke about this in my previous video about, getting rid of filters and other beauty standards in 2025. It's not that I think Botox is bad, Botox is wrong, no one should ever get it. It's just that I dislike the idea that it becomes such a default that people feel like they can't just go out in the world with the face that they've got. Like, I don't want to be in a place where everyone is thinking, I've got to get Botox, I've got to get filler, I've got to use a filter anytime I'm online. I would like us to just feel like there's real choice around it. And I think conversations like this help it feel like there's real choice in the matter, if that makes sense. Anyway, all of this may have seemed like a bunch of rambling. A little bit it was, but it's something that I've been thinking more about, and I'd love to know how you're thinking about it as well. So let me know in the comments. And if you like this sort of content, be sure to subscribe. I'll see you next time.